Welcome back. Today we're looking at our second mini worm bin. This is a flow-through worm bin, so we feed on one side, harvest on the other side, make it easy as possible. Let's open it up and take a look. See, I keep this to keep the moisture in because we do live in a desert. So you can see up at the top a bunch of worm castings, all these little pieces of it. So they've definitely been doing their job. See some worms in here. So this is where we fed over here last week. This is the most finished stuff over here on the side. So we can take a look, and actually we can see we have almost entirely finished worm castings. I'm not selling them or anything, so I still have a little bit of bedding in mixed in here. That's fine in my garden. No. And then I do let this side dry out a little bit, which is why you're seeing so few worms here. So that's the kind of the point, to make it very easy to harvest. I've got this, I don't have to separate out any worms. It's all finished castings. That's a pit. I'm gonna throw it over to the side. All I'm going through is sort of here, just checking to see how it's going on, making sure I get air all the way down. Can throw a few worms off to the side, and that looks good. And then next here, this is stuff that's been like mostly gone over pretty well, but still a little bit wetter. So I'm just gonna go through here and pull out any like bigger chunks of food that may have not gotten completely digested, just to give it a little bit more chance to go through. And then I'm going to move it over to the more finished side, because this is in fact more finished. The whole point, I mean, I like checking on my worms. Like it's part of it. I like that I can do this form of bin, which is very hands-on. There's systems that are less hands-on than this one. Part of the appeal for me is really, putting on my gloves, going digging, checking on all my worms, seeing how they're doing, digging down, checking the smell, the level of moisture. It just makes it easy to get everything just right and keep them very happy. Ever since I switched to this system, I've been seeing a lot more baby worms, a lot more worm cocoons. Speaking of which, I think I see like 4 right here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think each worm cocoon can carry like 1 to 20 worms, with the average being around 4. So those are like, the next generation of my bin here. Another advantage of the flow through is that it takes enough time between where most of the worms start and where I harvest, that the cocoons have time to hatch. I think it also depends a little bit temperature, whether or not the cocoons will hatch and the worms will come out. But here, like I'm feeling the level of moisture. It feels like a fully wrung out damp sponge, like not a sopping wet. There's no water dripping off of any of this, but it is fully wet all the way through, and I'm just seeing cocoons everywhere. Look at that. I mean, they start like as a yellow color, and they go to deep amber. Let me see, get a close up. They go to deep amber as they get closer and closer to hatching. There's a couple of them here. There's one on my thumb there too. So yeah, it was when I first started this, I was always looking and checking, and I just wasn't very good at getting the conditions right. And so I almost never saw baby worms. I almost never saw cocoons. But now I just getting the ratio of bedding right, now that I'm shredding all my cardboard boxes and using those as bedding. Using the coffee, all our coffee, as like a good baseline feeding for them. High nitrogen, they really like that. It keeps them going. And then I supplement that with however many like kitchen scraps I have during the week. So here we're getting to this side right here. This is where we fed last time. So you see more food scraps in here, and you see a lot more worms because they're in here chowing down. Yeah, there they are. I mean, they're nice, pinkish, reddish. They're red wigglers. Originally, I mixed in some African night crawlers because there's, we're in a desert. We're in the deserts of San Diego, and they're supposed to be like better for the. I like watching worms get nasty. Those little rings are their sex organs, so you can see they're each through each other's ring. So they're making more of these little baby worms, these guys right here. So it's fun to see. But yeah, I don't think, even then, it's not like tropical. It still gets a little cold during the winter. And I think that the African night crawlers didn't really like that. So I think I'm really just mostly left with red wigglers now. So they ended up being the right ones for me. But there's a bunch of bedding there. Okay. Yeah, I mean the moisture looks right. I'm just gonna add more bedding, add more food, and leave them for another 2 weeks. I mean everything looks really great. It's starting to heat up now that it's April, so I'm gonna have to start thinking about if I want the population to keep growing, if there's anything else I want to feed him. Maybe some clippings from my garden that their castings are feeding, so we'll see. All right, let's start with some of the shredded cardboard. I'm gonna give it a good amount of this because there didn't seem to be that much left in. I'm gonna even mix in some of this to like sort of inoculate it with the right bacteria. And then I always like to go straight in with my coffee. And then you do have to break up the pucks just so that they have, this is like the worm fast food, I suppose. It'll keep them nice and fed. It's easy for them to get at. Maybe not as fully healthy as some of the harder to eat kitchen scraps, but I mix it in with the bedding, and it's a good, maybe less like fast food, maybe more like the bread, just like a good baseline calorie. And then I'm going to add in some crushed up eggshell, a little bit more of a luxury than it used to be, just from the food throughout the week. My wife saves this and crushes for me. She's great. And then lastly, I'm gonna put in just some of our scraps. I actually have a little bit of butternut squash that we didn't end up eating, and some other stuff that didn't quite make it onto the table. So today's a pretty big feeding. So like with most pretty big feedings, I'll take some of it off to the side, do just like one layer, because I don't want to layer it up too deep, and then put some of the previous stuff on and then layer it on so they have more access to get all around the different food scraps in 3 dimensions, so it doesn't create a big thick spot that'll go raw. Add a little bit more bedding in here too, just to make it that much easier for them, and then we'll cover it up. And this is a real big feeding, so we'll check on it in 2 weeks with that in mind. And either if it's all gone, then I need to keep feeding them big. But if these are the pits. In my other one, it actually warmed up enough that they sprouted, and then the worms could come and eat them. So we'll see if we can get these mango pits to sprout. But yeah, so either they won't have finished it all and I'll just feed them lightly in 2 weeks, or they've gone through it all and I need to figure out how to find a lot more food for them. So we'll see one way or the other in 2 weeks.